Lorch im Rhein is a small town in the Rheingau-Taunus-Kreis in the Regierungsbezirk of Darmstadt in Hesse, Germany. It belongs to the Rhine Gorge World Heritage Site. Geography. Location. The town is characterized by wine growing and tourism. Lorch lies in the southwestern part of the Rheingau-Taunus-Kreis in the foothills of the Rhine gauge Gorge, some 10 kilometers north of the bend in the Rhine near Rudesheim. The town owes its picturesque setting in the middle Rhine valley between Rudesheim am Rhein and St. Goarshausen to its location at the mouth of the Wisper and to its steep vineyards. The town's municipal area stretches into the richly wooded Wisper Valley along land strata 3033 between Lorch and the district seat of Bad Schwalbach. The town is a state-recognized recreational resort. The Rheinsteig, the new hiking trail on the Rhine's right bank leading from Wiesbaden to Bonn, runs on the Rhine heights. In the Rhine near Lorch lies the island and nature conservation area called Lorcher Wirth. Constituent communities. Lorch's Stadtteil, besides the main town, also called Lorch, Lorchhausen, Espenscheid, Ransel, Ranselberg, and Walmaschine. History. The area was settled quite early on, first by the Celts, and then, come the Christian era, by the Ubii and later the Matriarchi. In the 1st century, the Romans thrust forth to the Taunus. The Romans were followed by the Alemanni, and with the onset of the migration period, the Franks. The town's oldest documentary mention is a document from 1085 in which Archbishop Wesilo documented a donation from the Mainz cathedral canon, Embrico, to the cathedral chapter of a number of holdings, among them a house and vineyards in Lorch. In the Middle Ages, Lorch served as the northern bastion of the Archbishopric of Mainz facing toward the Rheingau. Beginning in the 12th century, Lorch found itself at the southern end of the Rheingauer Gebach, a kind of border defense made out of an impenetrable hedge of stunted trees. This was put in place by the archbishops of Mainz. In the 13th century, a parish, whose first documentary mention came in 1254, was established in Lorch. In 1460, 1631, 1794, and in the final phase of the Second World War, there was warfare in Lorch, which sometimes brought considerable destruction. 20th century. On the 10th of January 1919, the Free State Bottleneck, a provisional state-like entity between occupation zones after the First World War, was proclaimed, with Lorch as the capital. Even today, many of the mini-states' coats of arms in the town still recall this time. In the early 1960s, the Bundeswehr came to town with its Flugabwehr Regiment 5. A new settlement, the Ranselberg, was built for soldiers and the families. The barracks in the picturesque Wisper Valley represented an important economic factor for the town of Lorch. Many local people found work in the barracks, the attached post administration, the munitions depot, the equipment depot, and the sanitary depot. In the course of Bundeswehr reform, the barracks were closed in 1993. At the site, the underground Gerätehauptdepot Lorch Wispertal and the likewise underground Sanitätshauptdepot Lorch Rheingau remain. In November 2003, the complete abandonment of the Bundeswehr post was announced. The sanitary company was to be withdrawn in early 2008. By the 31st of December 2007, the Sanitätshauptdepot was to be dissolved, and a year later the Gerätehauptdepot was to disappear. Some 280 civilians would thereby lose their jobs. Meanwhile, various businesses have set up in the abandoned Bundeswehr facilities, which has offset their job losses due to the military's pullout to a certain extent. Religion. Lorch's character is overwhelmingly Catholic, and serving this community as the Church Street Martin. Since 1908 the evangelical parishioners have been gathering in a church room in a house at Oberweg 4. Other religions are barely represented. Politics. Town Council. The municipal election, held on the 26th of March 2006, yielded the following results. Town Partnerships Ligues France since 1976. Saint-Benoît, Vienne, France since 1976. Adopted Wine Town, Gütersloh, North Rhine-Westphalia. Culture and sightseeing. Culturally and politically, Lorch is part of the Hessian Rheingau. Museums. The Robert Strupman Museum is the town's local history museum. It houses valuable carvings, documents, sculptures, and sacred objects. Among other things are wood carving of John the Baptist's severed head from the 12th century and the seated Madonna with Christ Child and grapes, from the early 14th century. It is open weekend afternoons in spring, summer, and autumn, and also serves as a tourist information center. There are many brochures to be had there for free. Moreover, books about Lorch's history and wine growing are on sale there. Buildings. The Catholic Pfarrkirche St. Martin was completed in the 14th century. The Gothic building was built over the remains of a still partly preserved late Romanesque basilica. Its centerpiece is the high altar by the master Hans from Worms, installed in 1483. As the biggest, and perhaps first carved altar, originally conceived as monochrome, it is of outstanding value for art history. The church therefore is secured, but open for visitors between Easter and October, on Saturdays between 1400 and 1700, and on Sundays between 11 o'clock and 1700. Hilton House, from the mid-16th century, is well known as the loveliest Renaissance building on the Middle Rhine. At this time, however, it is a ruin owing to a failed hotel building venture whose construction work wrought various damages and marring. Sadly, there is no money to renovate it again. Non-ag ruins are the remains of the old town fortifications on a craggy ridge overlooking the town. The Strunk is an old fortification tower from 1527, which once also served as a prison. Leprosen House with round tower. Here in the Middle Ages, lepers were given care at the time that still lay outside the town. Hexenturm. This served in the Middle Ages to keep wrongdoers and witches under lock and key. It was last used in the early 18th century. Regular events. Total is held yearly on the last Saturday in June. On this day, Bundesstraße 42 between Rudesheim and Koblenz on the Rhine's right bank and Bundesstraße 9 on the left between Bingen and Koblenz are closed to motorized traffic and left free for cyclists and skaters. Curb is held yearly on the weekend after the 8th of September. Kulturtage occurs in late September and early October. Theatre, concerts, exhibitions. Weihnachtsmarkt is held annually on the Saturday before the onset of Advent. Rheingau Music Festival has held an annual concert in the Church Street, Martin, typically an organ concert, since 1988. Economy and infrastructure. Transport. Lorch lies on Bundesstraße 42 and the railway line that roughly parallels it. It is some 40 kilometers to the Autobahn interchange in Wiesbaden, where the B42 meets the A66 going towards Frankfurt. There is a connection to the Autobahn cross at Mainz across the Wiesbaden-Schierstein Bridge over the Rhine, and by way of the Rhine ferries at Lorch and Kaub to the on-ramps at Laudert and Rheinbollen. The town is served by regional services on the East Rhine Railway sponsored by the Rhein-Main-Verkehrsverbund. Moreover, there is the Wiesbaden-Lorchhausen bus line, the Rheinsteig, the new hiking trail from Wiesbaden to Bonn by way of the Ehrenbreitstein Ford runs on the Rhine heights of Lorch. After dealings with the Bundeswehrmagensverwaltung, the town of Lorch managed to build an industrial park with some 20 firms on the lands formerly occupied by the barracks. Wine growing in Lorch is run within the Rheingau wine growing region under the Grosslichberg Weg. The individual vineyards are Schlossberg, Kapellenberg, Kron, Pfaffenweiss, and Bodental-Steinberg. The dominant grape variety is Riesling, but Pinot Noir has a growing share of the harvest. For the wines, Edelbrand and Sekt are also produced. The grapes grow in hillside vineyards on stony, heat-storing slate and quartzite-bearing earth. The great expansive water that is the Rhine accounts for the temperature balance, working as a reflector off which sunlight shines, thereby strengthening it. Education. Wisperschule. Famous people. The town's noble family named itself von Lorch. Their most important representative was Johann Hilton, Knight and Imperial Field Marshal. Sons and daughters of the town. Dr. Gerhard Schwenzer. From 1983 to 2005 he was the Catholic Bishop of Oslo. People with links to the town. Dr. Peter Paul Nahm, German politician and Staatssekretär.